A man who flies in a jet dripping with gold and crystal is nearly impossible to impress, but there's one aircraft that wasn't built to shine, it was built to survive. And when you hear what's inside this flying command center, you'll realize why luxury jets don't even compare. Germany didn't just replace an airplane, it replaced a national embarrassment. For years, the German government relied on a pair of aging Airbus, a 340S, as its long-haul VIP transports. On paper, they looked impressive, massive jets, fitted with private cabins, a full meeting room, and the kind of security systems you'd expect for Europe's largest economy. But in reality, those planes became infamous for one thing: breaking down at exactly the wrong moment. One of the most talked about incidents happened in 2018, when then-Chancellor Angela Merkel was forced to land in Cologne after a catastrophic systems failure en route to the G20 summit in Buenos Aires. Instead of stepping off her own government jet in Argentina, she had to scramble onto a regular commercial flight just to make it on time. The images of Merkel sitting in economy class like surroundings on a last-minute Iberia Airlines seat made headlines around the world and gave the A340 the nickname Pannenjet, or breakdown jet. And that wasn't a one-off. In 2019, President Frank-Walter Steinmeier had to delay a trip to Ethiopia after his government plane was grounded with technical issues. That same year, Olaf Scholz, who would later become chancellor, was stranded in Indonesia because of another malfunction. For a country famous for its engineering prowess, these humiliating breakdowns were brutal. So Berlin finally decided enough was enough. Instead of pouring more money into outdated A340S, the government invested in 3 brand-new Airbus. A 350-900S, delivered between 2020 and 2024. Each aircraft carries the name of a historic post-war leader: Konrad Adenauer, Theodor Heuss, and Kurt Schumacher. And unlike their predecessors, these jets aren't just modified commercial models, they're ultra-modern, ultra-reliable state aircraft designed for non-stop diplomacy. Inside, the A350S are sleek but restrained. There are private bedrooms, a presidential office, and a fully equipped conference room. The carpets and furniture are custom-made by German artisans, but you won't find chandeliers or gold-plated sinks. The vibe is efficiency over extravagance: leather seating, noise-reducing walls, and LED lighting systems calibrated to fight jet lag. The message is clear: Germany doesn't need flying palaces. It needs jets that deliver its leaders safely and on time. Security is another level. The jets come with encrypted satellite communications, military-grade defensive systems, and shielding against cyber attacks. In today's world, where hacking can be as dangerous as missiles, these aircraft are basically flying firewalls. And with a range of over 15,000 kilometers, they can reach almost anywhere on Earth without stopping to refuel. The biggest flex, though, isn't inside the plane, it's what the upgrade represents. Germany turned the Pannenjet from a running joke into a symbol of restored confidence. Every time one of these white, a 350S, lifts off with the German flag on its tail, it projects reliability and strength. But while Berlin embraced subtlety, another country went the exact opposite way. When its leader steps off the stairs, the whole world knows it's theater time. If Germany's jets whisper quiet power, Turkey's 747-8 practically shouts it. This enormous aircraft is one of the rarest and most expensive jumbos ever built, and it didn't just appear in Ankara's hangars, it came with a story fit for headlines. In 2018, Qatar's emir gifted the jet to Turkey. The plane had originally been built as one of the most lavish private aircraft in the world, complete with ultra-luxury interiors and a rumored price tag close to $500 million. The handover to Ankara turned it from a personal toy into a presidential symbol. From the outside, the jet is painted in Turkey's red and white national colors, with the crescent and star flag emblazoned proudly on the tail. When it lands, it doesn't just look presidential, it looks unavoidable. The sheer size of the 747-8I dwarfs almost any other plane on the tarmac, sending a clear message about status and presence. Inside, the details are closely guarded, but leaked descriptions and photos suggest a flying palace, golden accents, imported carpets, and private suites for high-level meetings. Beyond the glamour, the plane also functions as a mobile command post, with secure comms, encrypted satellite links, and protective systems against airborne threats. It's a balance of palace and fortress, but in Turkey's case, the palace part always draws more attention. Timing of its arrival was controversial. The Turkish economy was struggling with inflation and debt, and critics slammed the optics of a $500 million jet appearing in Ankara. Government officials insisted it was a gift, not a purchase, but the symbolism was hard to miss. While citizens tightened their belts, the president's new ride was a jumbo dripping in luxury. Still, symbolism is power. When foreign dignitaries arrive in Turkey, being greeted by a gleaming 747-8I is part of the show. It's more than transport, it's branding. But Turkey isn't the only nation rolling out a jumbo with a statement. Another capital went for a similar aircraft, but with very different priorities. On the Korean peninsula, minutes can mean survival. That's why South Korea upgraded its presidential ride to the 747-8I, a jet nicknamed Code 1. While it looks like an elegant airliner on the outside, what matters most is what it can do when tensions spike. The aircraft was delivered after a complete retrofit, transforming it into a long-haul command center. It comes equipped with anti-missile defense systems, electronic countermeasures, and secure communication lines linking the president directly to military command. If conflict ever breaks out, this plane becomes a mobile war room. Inside, the layout blends business with security. There's a private presidential suite, secure offices, and meeting rooms wired for encrypted video conferences. Comfort is there too: leather seating, soft lighting, and long-range cabin design. But unlike luxury private jets, these features exist to keep leaders sharp during high-pressure missions, not to dazzle guests. The decision to go with a 747-8I was strategic. South Korea needed an aircraft that could fly long distances without refueling, host complex meetings in flight, and remain secure against missile threats. The jumbo platform gave them the range and space to make it happen. The name Code 1 itself underscores the role. It's not just a ride, it's the frontline airborne command. The country may not flaunt gold interiors, but the presence of the jet in the skies is a reminder that Seoul takes no chances. But not every government plane gets celebrated when it rolls out. One nation's official jet became such a lightning rod for criticism that its leader refused to even use it. Few aircraft sparked as much debate before their first mission as Israel's Wing of Zion. Officially, a Boeing 767-300ER, this plane was designed to be Israel's answer to Air Force One. But instead of applause, it spent years stuck in controversy. The project began with the idea that Israel, constantly at the center of international diplomacy and security, needed a dedicated, secure aircraft for its prime minister and president. Until then, leaders often relied on chartered El Al jets or smaller government planes, which raised both security risks and prestige questions. The 767 was refitted with secure communications, a private suite, and conference areas. But as costs ballooned, critics slammed it as wasteful. For years, the plane sat in storage, becoming a political football. Some leaders refused to use it at all, arguing it was unnecessary during times of economic strain. Finally, in July 2024, after nearly a decade of back and forth, the Wing of Zion flew official missions. Its debut wasn't flashy, it was practical. The aircraft offers encrypted communications, defense systems, and a controlled environment tailored for Israel's top officials. Inside, it's equipped with a private bedroom, office, and war room-style meeting spaces. The symbolism is obvious. Israel wanted a jet that showed independence and self-reliance. No more borrowing or chartering. But the delays also proved how politically charged these aircraft can be. In Israel's case, it wasn't just about luxury, it was about whether leaders dared to be seen using it. Mexico, however, faced a very different backlash. There, a jet so lavish it could have starred in a movie turned into a political disaster. When Mexico unveiled its presidential Boeing 787 Dreamliner, the country expected admiration. After all, it was one of the sleekest aircraft in the skies, fitted with a presidential suite that could rival a five-star hotel. But instead of becoming a source of pride, it became a national scandal. The Dreamliner was delivered with an interior that included a California king bed, wood-paneled walls, a marble bathroom, and conference spaces designed for transcontinental diplomacy. At an estimated cost of $218 million, it was meant to symbolize Mexico's modern face to the world. But at home, it played very differently. As poverty and inequality remained high, critics blasted the jet as an insult to ordinary citizens. When Andrés Manuel López Obrador, AMLO, became president, he refused to even step on board. Instead, he used commercial flights to prove his populist credentials. The Dreamliner sat unused for years, draining millions in maintenance costs. After several failed attempts to sell it, the government finally managed in 2023 when the jet was purchased by Tajikistan for about $92 million, less than half its original price. The story became a global symbol of political optics gone wrong. A plane built to impress the world instead embarrassed the nation that owned it. But while Mexico sold its symbol, another country was busy creating jets designed not for prestige, but for quiet resilience. India took a very different approach when it inducted two Boeing 777-300ERs in 2020, known as the new Air India 1. On the outside, they look like ordinary long-haul twins. On the inside, they're some of the most advanced government aircraft ever built. The planes are fitted with LAIRCM systems, large aircraft infrared countermeasures, designed to deflect incoming missiles, encrypted communications that link directly to India's defense network, and hardened wiring and avionics to resist electronic attacks. In short, they're as much flying fortresses as they are transports. Inside, the layout balances tradition with modernity. The cabins feature handcrafted Indian design elements, with muted luxury rather than over-the-top opulence. There's a private bedroom, conference areas, and medical facilities, but the emphasis is on functionality and security. The reason for the upgrade was simple. India wanted aircraft on par with the world's best, something that could rival Air Force One, not in glamour, but in survivability and range. By choosing the 777-300ER, India got a jet that can fly non-stop to almost any global capital while keeping its leaders connected to secure command channels. It's a symbol of India's growing status on the world stage, not brash, not golden, but undeniably powerful. And yet, for all the new challengers, the one name that still defines the genre is America's. When people hear the words Air Force One, they don't picture a call sign, they picture a legend. The name itself carries more power than most world leaders, and for good reason. The American presidential jet isn't just transportation. It's the flying embodiment of U.S. dominance. A machine built to guarantee that even if the unthinkable happens on the ground, the president is still in control in the sky. Let's start with the basics most people miss. Air Force One isn't a single plane. It's a call sign used by any U.S. Air Force aircraft carrying the president. But in practice, it refers to two specific aircraft, the VC-25 Amperes, heavily modified Boeing 747-200Bs delivered in the early 1990s. At first glance, they look like relics from another era, classic jumbos with retro lines. But step inside, and you're in a different world entirely. The interior covers more than 4,000 square feet, spread over 3 decks. There's a presidential suite with a private office, bedroom, and shower. There are secure conference rooms that link directly to the Pentagon and intelligence networks. There's even a fully functional medical operating room, staffed by a doctor who travels with the president at all times. And while the president's cabin feels plush, the overall design is more practical than flashy. This isn't a place for chandeliers. It's a place to keep government running when chaos erupts. The defense systems are the real story. The fuselage is hardened against electromagnetic pulses, EMPs, the kind that could fry electronics during a nuclear event. The communication systems are shielded and redundant, capable of linking to satellites, secure lines, and military aircraft around the globe. And perhaps the most famous capability, aerial refueling. If needed, Air Force One can stay airborne indefinitely, circling above safe zones while the president commands the nation. In theory, the president never has to touch the ground. But here's the thing, even icons get old. The VC-25, as are more than 3 decades old, and replacing them has been a nightmare. The next generation VC-25B, based on the Boeing 747-8I, was supposed to be delivered in the mid-2020s. Instead, delays, cost overruns, and even political squabbles have pushed the timeline to 2027 or later, with some reports hinting at 2029 before both aircraft are operational. For now, the world's most famous planes are aging queens of the sky, still dominant but edging toward retirement. The irony? While the media fixates on the jet's iconic blue and white paint scheme and presidential seal, the true value lies in what can't be photographed. The layers of encrypted networks, countermeasures, and backup systems designed for one terrifying scenario, the end of normal government. When Air Force One takes off, it doesn't just move a person, it moves the entire U.S. chain of command into the sky, untouchable. That's why Air Force One is more than a jet. It's a symbol. To allies, it's reassurance that America always has continuity. To adversaries, it's a warning. No matter what happens on the ground, the commander-in-chief is still reachable, still connected, still in control. But as legendary as Air Force One is, there's another aircraft that carries a darker mystique. It doesn't flaunt itself, it doesn't invite photographers, and it doesn't dazzle with gold. Instead, it exists for one reason: to keep power alive when the world ends. And that's Russia's Flying Kremlin. If Air Force One is the world's most famous jet, Russia's Il-96300PU is the world's most mysterious. Officially, it's a government transport aircraft. Unofficially, it's known as the Flying Kremlin, a name that hints at its true purpose: survival. At first glance, the Il-96 doesn't look like much. It's a standard 4-engine Russian airliner, painted white and blue with the Russian tricolor along its fuselage. It lacks the distinctive livery and prestige branding of Air Force One, but that's intentional. Where America's plane is meant to project power through visibility, Russia's jet is designed to hide its strength until it's needed. Inside, very little has been officially revealed, but reports, leaks, and rare photographs paint a striking picture. The cabin is divided into fortified zones: a presidential suite, secure meeting rooms, encrypted communications hubs, and a command center wired directly into Russia's defense network. Everything about the layout screams function over form. Yes, there are touches of luxury rare woods from Siberia, polished accents, leather seating, but compared to the chandeliers of Middle Eastern jets or the gold fixtures of Trump's private plane, this interior feels muted. The luxury here isn't decoration, it's resilience. The aircraft is rumored to be equipped with state-of-the-art electronic countermeasures, including radar jammers and missile defense systems. Some reports even suggest laser-based defenses capable of blinding or deflecting incoming threats, though Russia has never confirmed this. What is clear is that the Il-96 maintains constant encrypted satellite communication with Russia's National Defense Management Center. In practice, that means the president could direct nuclear forces from the air, even if ground facilities were destroyed. Another critical feature: the Il-96 is hardened against electromagnetic pulses, just like Air Force One. In a world where EMP weapons could knock out entire power grids and communications networks, that makes the Flying Kremlin one of the few platforms capable of staying online. The jet can function as a mobile command post for days, allowing Russia's leadership to control land-based missiles, submarines, and bombers from thousands of miles away. Security isn't just built into the plane, it's built into its operations. Flight routes are rarely announced in advance. Decoy aircraft sometimes accompany the presidential jet. It's often escorted by fighters or electronic warfare aircraft to scramble hostile radar. The idea is simple: confuse, protect, survive. And yet, despite all this secrecy, glimpses of the interior suggest a balance of power and prestige. Reports mention conference tables large enough for a dozen generals, each seat equipped with biometric scanners for access, lighting systems that automatically adjust to the emotional tone of meetings. Walls layered with materials that don't just block sound, but absorb vibration, creating a kind of eerie silence during briefings. Even in luxury, everything serves a purpose. The symbolism of the Il-96-300 PU is chilling. Where other nations showcase palaces in the sky, Russia built a doomsday bunker with wings. Its very existence sends a message. No matter what happens on the ground, no matter how dark the world gets, Russia's leadership won't be silenced. That's why, when insiders whispered about its capabilities, even billionaires with gold-plated jets had to pause, because gold may shine but it doesn't survive a nuclear strike. So who really wins? Germany proved the value of reliability. Turkey turned a jumbo into theater. South Korea built a fortress disguised as an airliner. Israel fought politics before finally using its dedicated jet. Mexico learned the hard way that optics can sink even the sleekest aircraft. India invested in survivability. America still sets the standard with Air Force One, delays and all. And Russia? Russia built a jet that doesn't need to shine, it just needs to endure. In the sky, the real flex isn't gold. It's survival, command, and control. Because at 40,000 feet, the line between luxury and power isn't chandeliers, it's who's still in charge when the world below falls apart.